What's up, guys? It is I, the Logmuffin, and remember a while back when I said I wasn't going to do reviews of new records?
So that was a fucking lie.
Because this record came out, and I just need to talk about it. I could not help myself. So, enjoy this Christmas present. Oh. Oh, shit. Yeah, I couldn't do it. This record was too hard to wrap my head around. I needed a couple extra days. This episode is the present that you don't get on Christmas Day because of bad shipping. Anyways, Jan Misali. So, Jan Misali is a YouTuber. No surprises there if you know of him. He makes pretty popular video essays like There are 48 Regular Polyhedra, Hangman is a Weird Game, as well as his show, Conline Critic. But that's not what this video is about. You see, Jan Misali is also a musician. Music made by YouTubers kind of gets a bad rep because of popular YouTubers that come out with rap songs for some reason. But if you're looking for it, there are some genuinely good YouTuber musicians out there. Like, for example, Pilot Red Sun, or Pilot Red Sky, I will never get used to that, who, in my opinion, came out with a straight masterpiece with this 2016 album, Achievement. Or some other good YouTube rappers, like Dan Bull or Screwface John. Since I tend to have a bit more of a positive outlook on these sorts of things, I decided that I'd give Jan Misali's music a shot. So I started by listening to his 2017 release, Entertaining Sound, which I definitely thought was interesting, but ultimately flawed in very major ways. To understand why, you have to understand that there are mainly, in general, two types of music that Jan Misali tends to make. There's the sequencer and tracker, 80s and 90s video game style music, like with the tracks Secretche, I don't know how to pronounce that, Mellowmane Soul and Crespo 2012. And then there's the mashup and medley music, like with the tracks Body and 2017. It's the latter that I generally have a problem with. Now, I don't have a blanket opposition to mashup and medley music, but I think it's very tricky and risky. You have to do it in a way that flows well. It's hard to describe, and Jan Misali does not do that. Also, these songs are sometimes mixed poorly. Prime example is the one that's on this record, the meme mashup, of which there has been one on every Jan Misali record. And some of the samples are just, like, increased in tempo instead of speed, which isn't necessarily bad, but it just sounds weird. But if you do want an example of what I think is an example of mashup music done right, go to the link in the description and check out Gyrotron's Extreme SoundCloud Megamix 5. That is really good stuff. So, Entertaining Sound. It was kind of mid for me, but I thought there was potential. So then I listened to his next album, Latin Extended D. Latin Extended? Latin Extended. We'll go with that. And that record is possibly the worst record that I heard this year. I mean, it's definitely close between that and Watsky's All You Can Do. But if you held a gun to my head and asked me which is worse, I would say Latin Extended is the worst record. Like, there was 3 minutes of good music on that record, maybe. The rest of it was okay to terrible. It was so bad that I ended up completely skipping Mr. Misali's next project, Disambiguation. I still don't know how to pronounce that word. Aside from the track Kalupa Yan Tenpo, which I really enjoyed. But I was intrigued by this new project because, for one, it's a self-titled album, and usually self-titled albums are like defining for an artist or like changing up the sound. And you know, it's been about 2 years since Latin Extended, so I sort of went into this thing hoping for a new sound or some sort of improvement or iteration. But nope. Nope, not really. So I want to start by talking about the 2 tracks that take up the majority of the runtime on this thing. Mainly track 3, Ultimate Remix, and track 6, Kijete Sumi Kyoku.
Nailed it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna attempt to pronounce that again, so I'm just gonna call it the long unpronounceable track. These are both medleys of various other compositions, and they're so radically different in terms of quality and how they're organized that the long unpronounceable one might as well be named How to Do a Medley, and Ultimate Remix might as well be named How to Not Do a Medley. Ultimate Remix is flawed for a couple reasons. The main one being that the transitions from one part to another are super abrupt. For most of the track, you have the same two synths and some drum loops cycling through various video game themes, because it's about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I didn't even realize that until I looked at the video. Anyways, what sucks is there is no real, progression in the instrumentation, which is my second problem with the song, but it's actually even worse than that, because sometimes the instruments will completely switch, or there'll be vocals thrown in, but then it'll be gone in 10 seconds when we go to the next composition. And that just gives me the most disconnected fucking feeling ever. I'm just listening to a bunch of songs, slamming into each other, and it even gives me the feeling that the track is regressing, because we're going from, minimalist to slightly more complicated back to where we were again. Why? Now you might say, well, Muffin, that's the point of a medley. You take a bunch of elements from a bunch of different pieces and play them back to back. And you're technically correct, but not like this. And another problem is that there are just too many pieces trying to be in this thing for 10 minutes. There's 100 or something stupid different compositions trying to be in this medley, and that just adds to the disconnecting feeling, because nothing stays around for that long. You're at most going to get 10 seconds of something outside of the main theme at the end. Now that's Ultimate Remix. Let's go to the other medley, the unpronounceable one, which I actually enjoyed all the way through because of what it does different from Ultimate Remix. First off, the songs go by slower. You're getting 10 at the least to 30 seconds of each song, which makes things stick out better and be less forgettable. And second, the song actually feels like it's progressing, like it's going somewhere. It starts with just one of the synths and the rest of the instruments get added in. Then it stays that way until about midway through. It slows down to deliver a couple piano ballads with a bit of guitar thrown in there too, until it picks back up with a couple of new instruments added to the mix, culminating in the end of the album with two Jan Misali classics at this point, namely Dreams of Our Generation and Bop Gill. And the transitions don't feel nearly as abrupt as in Ultimate Remix. And that's the main meat of the album. Let's talk about the 4 other tracks now. So the first track is Yukai Young, and it's literally just a combination of Die Young by Kesha and some anime song that I don't know. I mean, it's really eh. And then we have the second track, which I'm also not gonna attempt to pronounce. It's That. And this is definitely my favorite one here. It's got it all. Good vocals from Jules, who also collaborated with Jan Misali on other tracks, like the aforementioned Kalupa Yan Tempo. And I'd be willing to call this song even better than that one. I think the more varied instrumental pairs really well with Jules' voice, better than the straight piano from that track. And I don't really know what else to say. I just love everything about this track. One flipper roll this time is a remix of the Cha Cha Slide. The thing I don't like about it is I think DJ Casper's sampled vocals don't really fit with the instrumental at all. The instrumental is really upbeat and pretty, and then you have DJ Casper coming in shouting at you what the fuck to do. And it really does not mesh well. It clashes. I thought the repetition of the sample was kind of cool, though. And the final track I'm going to talk about is There Are Many Benefits to Being at the End of 2021. Yes, another meme mashup. These sneak their way into the track list of every Jan Misali record, and they're always my least favorite part. I mean, I haven't heard the one on disambiguation, fuck, but I've heard the other four, and they range from mediocre to downright obnoxious. And this one is definitely the latter. It's basically a masterclass on how to not make a mashup. Not only are their vocals on top of other vocals, and not in a way that sounds good, I mean in a way that's really dissonant, but their vocals sped up so much that any good sounding qualities they may have had are sucked out. Plus, this is an example of the mix being, like, really weird. Like, some things sound drowned in effects, and some things are louder than others. It's really strange. I want to never hear this thing ever again. So, let's find some sort of conclusion for this. I had high hopes for this record because I know that Jan Misali has the capacity to make good music because I've heard it. Like, if you made a compilation album with this as the track list, it would easily be, like, 4.5 out of 5 stars. And I'm torn, because the stuff that's good on this record is really good. But the rest is mediocre, forgettable, and somewhat obnoxious. So I agonized on what score this should get, but eventually I decided. So, final score. This record gets 2 sad vocals out of 5. There are definitely some redeeming qualities, but this is ultimately just as flawed as the rest of the Jan Misali albums that I've heard. So, to Jan Misali, I like your videos, but I'm sorry.